Hi everybody, good morning. Thank you for coming. As always, I will begin with the quote for today's episode, which is, "But love is more than 3 words mumbled before bedtime. Love is sustained by action, a pattern of devotion on the things we do for each other every day." This is said by somebody by the name of Nicholas Sparks. And when I was going through Savita's story in my head and processing the whole thing, then this quote kind of just fit perfectly well. And on that note, let's welcome our 17th speaker for VOS of Silence, Savita Awasthy. A little bit about Savita. I first met her here, I think a couple of months ago on another speaker, Deepa's, who's also with me here, Deepa's episode. And what struck me, I was chit-chatting with her a little bit. What struck me the most about her was that she had, and still does, has very kind eyes and is a very kind person. Now, little did I know that she will be one of my speakers soon, and when I speak to her, what will get reinforced is not just the kindness, but the amount of compassion she has in her heart, kindness, a lot of love, a lot of devotion, and a lot of grit. This woman is made of grit. So on that note, can we please give a round of applause to Savita Awasthy? Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, Savita. And before we begin, a short message for the world from your side.
Okay. So first of all, Kanika, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Voice of Silence is a big brand now, and it's my honor to be here. It's completely my privilege. So thank you so much for calling me here. A message based on my own life, Kanika. I would say live life. Live life as if there's no tomorrow. Live life as if today is the last day of your life. Because पता नहीं कब किसी का हाथ छूट जाए, पता नहीं कब किसी का साथ छूट जाए. So live life. That's my message.
We are going to circle back to this, living life to the fullest, towards the end of the talk. I know most of the people know you here, but a lot don't, and we are doing this for the viewers. And we are trying to change something in the society. For that, we will need to know your story, Savita. So, whatever you're comfortable with sharing with everybody, if you could tell us what is your background, personal, and also about your marriage to Mr. Awasthy. How was your life? Like, how did it start, and whatever you would like us to know.
Okay, I love that, Mr. Awasthy.
Because you call him Mr.
That's how I call him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Kanika, I was born and brought up in Assam from a very conservative and a middle class family. But having said that, I was brought up like a princess to my parents and my 2 elder brothers. Within the limited means, I had the best of everything, I must tell you. It was like the best childhood that I could dream of. I came from a Marwari society, and our society was very conservative, but then I had the wings to fly. So I qualified my CA and CW in Guwahati as well, and then marriage brought me to Delhi. And coming from that society where girls don't study so much, I was one of the first ones to qualify as a CA in the whole of Northeast. So getting a suitable match was a bit of a concern, because I didn't want to get married to somebody who was not as qualified as me. I don't know, for some reason I wanted to get somebody who was more qualified than me. And then one fine day in Delhi, I got a CV which had 5 degrees on it. I just looked at the name and I looked at the CV, the degrees, and I said, yes, that's it. I didn't want to look at anything else. I didn't even meet him. He was a CA, CWA, CS. He had a MCOM and he was an LLB. And I thought, whatever said and done, this is the best fit for me. It was not the type of marriage that you traditionally have these days, but for me, something clicked. And it was so true, Kanika, because I came to a family which was so loving. I came to a very forward-looking family. My parents-in-law were like the best you could ask for. My sister-in-law, who was just 15 then, she's almost like my own child, my firstborn, in fact. I came to a family where from princess I became a queen. Yeah. And nice. Mr. Awasthy was one person who played all roles in my life. I actually forgot my other roles during that time, because he was a brother at times, he was a father at times, he was my best friend, he was my confidant, he was everything, because he was that one person full of love, full of compassion. And suddenly my life was just the best that you could think of. So that was how I started off, and I came to Delhi, and yeah.
That's nice to know. I really like when you said I became from a princess, I became to a queen.
Yeah.
That is very very heartening. That's nice, and I'm glad that you saw that. I mean, that can't be taken away. You saw that.
Yeah,
you experienced it.
when I came here, Kanika, I had never worn a jeans in my childhood. And my father-in-law got the first jeans for me, which was a 28 waist. And when I came back from office, I saw the jeans and I said, wow, that was such a from a father-in-law, that was such a warm gift to think about.
It's not very common.
It's not very common.
So hats off, and great. I mean, that's nice to hear. So, and what about children?
Well, my children were born 3 years after marriage, so they are the blessing of my life. They are here right now. Yashashwini and Advay. You couldn't ask for anything more from my children. My daughter is a school topper and she's with LSR right now. And my son is a shooter as well as doing his 12. So, and my eldest one, my sister-in-law, she's a chartered accountant and she's working with EY.
That's nice. So, what changed?
Yes, 10 years back, October, and so typically, Kanika, both of us, we always had this morning tea together. We had a morning tea, and that was one day when I had to go to office earlier. Normally I used to drop him off the lift, and he was the first one to go. That was one day when I went earlier, and when we went to the lift and he was seeing me off, he said, "I don't feel like going to the gym today." I said, "Don't go. Why are you going to the gym?" And we thought he'll be home, and I went off to the office, and. He was a health freak, by the way. He used to run and he used to go to the gym, and I was one who sat my yoga, nothing more than that. So as I entered my meeting room in the office and greeted my business partner, I got a call, and the person said he met with an accident. So I was really not able to comprehend what had happened, because he was at home. How could he have met with an accident? And then I just picked up my car keys, drove back to the hospital, and one of my friend Mohit was there, and I asked him what happened, and I just dashed into the emergency and I saw him in a pool of blood. Blood was oozing out of his ears, and he was just not responding to him. I held his hand, and I couldn't believe Mr. Awasthy would not respond to my holding his hand. And that's when I got to know that he was running on the treadmill. He stopped and he got off the treadmill. He went back and he slipped. And he was thrown back, and there was a cross trainer behind which hit his head.
Oh shit!
And
it was a gym accident.
It was a gym accident. So the cross trainer hit his head, and he started bleeding there and then. And my neighbors who were there, they rushed him to the nearest hospital, and that was I didn't know my life had completely changed at that point of time.
He said he didn't want to go to the gym that day.
He didn't want to go to the gym. He went to my friend's place, my neighbors, and she's also here, Rachna. He went there, he had a cup of tea, and he went to the gym. And something in his mind was not okay, but he still went.
Intuition or something?
I don't know. Maybe he was not feeling too okay. Maybe he was something was there where he didn't want to go. And for me, Kanika, talking to him was an integral part of my life. And it's been 10 years now, and he hasn't spoken to me. He hasn't even recognized us. So life completely changed. He was in the hospital for 4 months. And first 3 days was kept on sedation because they wanted the pressure on the brain to be on the lower side. Fourth day, they tried to wean him off. The doctor asked him to lift his hand and his legs. He did that. And I thought he was responding. But fifth day, what happened was I was in the surgical ICU waiting area and waiting for the 5 o'clock time to go and see him. And there was an announcement saying, surgical ICU patients, please wait, do not come inside. And I thought, koi naya patient hai, kuch, something has happened. And then suddenly they announced the dependence of my husband. And I just didn't know what had happened. I went inside and there's a corridor there. I stood there and I saw his bed and I saw that he was surrounded by doctors from all sides. And he just had a cardiac arrest. He was being taken to the MRI machine, and on the way he had a cardiac arrest. They rushed him back to the ICU, but it took 12 minutes to revive him. So for 12 minutes he did not breathe. And while they revived him, it left him in the state that he's currently. 4 months in the ICU, they gave us a room in the ICU. So there were 4 months.
4 months in the ICU?
Yes. And every day when I went up the stairs in the ICU, it was like, "Aaj doctor kya bolega?" I used to go and stand there. So in the ICU outside, there's a waiting area where the doctor comes and briefs you. And I used to think every moment that I used to be standing there, my heart used to just go up and down because I didn't know what he would say. Creatinine theek hai, aaj ye problem hai, aaj wo problem hai. So after a point of time, he said, "I think he has fluid in the brain." So they said, "Okay, let's do a surgery, it'll help." They did a surgery, the fluid came back. They did another surgery, again the fluid came back. Third time they said, "No surgery, we'll do a shunt." So they put a shunt. He was on ventilator, so he had a tracheostomy. We tried multiple times to wean it off, but it didn't work. At the end of 4 months, the director of the unit said, "Take him home, Savita. Maintain a hospital at home. I don't think we can do much at this stage."
That must have been... I don't even know. I can't even relate. I don't know what to say here. But in those 4 months, how did you manage? Because children were there, and I know that you've been working. Where did you get this? And you were in Gurgaon then?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Where was the support coming from? I know your in-laws were also with you. Tell us about the support. What was happening at that time? Akele to nahi ho sakta hai sir.
Absolutely, Kanika. I think I'm blessed to have such a strong support system. My parents-in-law, I knew my kids were taken care of. My daughter was 10, my son was 7. And we didn't even tell them for 2 months in terms of what had happened. My kids knew that he had a fracture and Papa will be back. So they used to question me, "Fracture mein phone to kar sakte hai na?" I said, "Beta, Papa is not allowed to call." 2 months down the line, my doctor said, "Now get the kids because he might give a reaction if they come." And I took them to the hospital. He had pipes all over. My niece and both the kids came, and I just can't forget that scene of what happened. But in terms of support, Kanika, I think when God gives you a problem, He gives you strength.
Yes.
And I'm so blessed with people around me. My parents-in-law, my sister-in-law were obviously there. But this was a time when I started realizing that people who we called friends were suddenly going further away. My own family was obviously there. My brothers were there. My parents were there. But my true friends really came to the fore at that point of time. Yeah? Shweta, who was there, she's here right now. So she came to the hospital from Palam Vihar every single day, 4 months. And sometimes she came before me. And not once, she came twice. There's Shweta. She came twice.
I'm sorry.
That's Anujas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What's her full name? Can you please say it?
Shweta Jain.
Shweta Jain, thank you so much.
And she would be there with me holding my hand when I was there. Imagine she used to go to office. She used to come from Palam Vihar to Paras Hospital, be there, go back to office, come back to hospital and then go back. And she did that for 4 months. It's just not a small deal. There was another bhaiya, Sanjay bhaiya was there. He used to face the doctors because anxious moments. I was like, "Doctor, abhi kuch na bol de." And I didn't even face the doctors because I wanted to just assume and believe that things will be all right. And he really faced the doctors. He was there talking to the doctors. Doctor said he needs to be given chicken soup when we came home. And we are vegetarians. My friend who's a neighbor, Rachna, she's there as well. 3 years she made chicken soup for us. 3 years. Every single day she would bring it. Even if she was in office, her children would make it. She would bring it. And Mr. Awasthy was given chicken soup 3 long years.
Rachna, which one is Rachna?
I don't.
Rachna, thank you. Ye kaun karta hai? Can we please give a round of applause, guys? And thank you. No, this is what the platform is about. We all will go through our share of, well, it's never equal, but I wish it were equal kinds of excruciating pain. I wish. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm nobody to say this, but it is. I mean, you guys are God sent. Yeah. Like when you think of something like this, imagine अगर आप अकेले होते बिल्कुल. I mean, just I can't even think with so much dedication. Yeah. I mean, really, thank you very much for just being there.
And I think, Kanika, this is the point. When you're in adversity, that's when you realize you're real friends.
That's true.
And that's where I got these real friends.
Yeah.
And imagine all of them are supporting me today, even for this interview. My sister-in-law, Anuja had just completed a CA. She was working with the Big Four. When we came back home, the doctor said we didn't know whether he was breathing. Yeah, because there was no way to find out. She took a sabbatical. Very first year of her CA, she took a sabbatical. She spent one long year just watching whole night and watching her brother breathe and see that he's okay and there's no problem. I had to go back to office after 4 months because for me, while all this was happening, a big component was the finances.
Yeah.
4 months at the ICU, you can imagine the expenses.
Yeah.
So now, since I was not the only, because my mother-in-law also had a school, but I was the primary earning member, and I had to go back to office to be able to ensure that the medical expenses were met and everybody was taken care of. So she took a break. Very first year of her CA, 1 year at home and just looking after her brother. When we came home and it was like 6 months, we went to a doctor and he said rehab. I didn't know what rehab meant. So we went to spinal injuries, and there we met Dr. Rahul. He was God sent, Ranika.
He's also here.
He's here. I don't know where he is.
Dr. Rahul.
That's Dr. Rahul.
That's Dr. Rahul.
So since that day, Kanika, 10 years in bed, not a single bed sore. People get bed sores in 1 month, and Rahul has ensured that he's fitter than all of us actually. Mr. Awasthy is fitter than all of us, except for the brain that does not really work. The way he's been managed and the way we have a support system at home, the way we've created a hospital at home, we have boys who take care of him. All of that was in itself a task. And obviously my kids and my mother-in-law who were there while I was at work, they were there holding the fort at home.
But Savita, may I also use this opportunity to say, it's also you. It's you. It's वही एक तो होता है, मुझे भी याद नहीं आ रहा है, वही मिलेगा जो करो, जो बोगे वही मिलेगा, whatever that is. But I said you're very kind as a human being, right? That must be, and it's not like the repaying. Nobody's repaying here. It is just that's just what you're attracting. So please keep that in mind. I mean, it's you too. It is you too in the mix. And on that note, what were your lowest moments? As a woman, as a mother, the wife bit we kind of have related with, but as a woman, as a mother, and as a career person, because I know that you're career oriented, right? So what were your lowest moments? Whatever you can share very openly. For others, if anybody is going through the same thing, that ye hoga, it's okay, I went through it,
See, as a woman, as a wife, I was completely lonely. I was extremely lonely inside me, and because I was not used to a life without him. Yeah. So as a person, while I was there, but I was not really there. There were low moments to the extent that at one point of time I thought I just can't live without him, and this is the end of my life. Even that happened. Nobody knows. This is the first time I'm probably speaking about it, but I was on a call with my bhabhi, and she managed to influence me back. So there have been times like that as well. As a woman, see, if you realize it, my son was only 7 and Mr. Awasthy is the only son. So it is a completely female-oriented house. Yeah. So there have been very difficult moments. You have people perceive the house as a woman-oriented house. So you could just say whatever you want to. There have been those moments as well. But I think we stood strong. We stood strong as one unit. Somewhere we had to put that brave front to say, come what may, we will not give up.
But I'm just asking, what could have been said? You don't have to name anybody, but मेरे को समझ में भी नहीं आ रहा है, situation में बोलने को है क्या? What could have been? I really
See,
don't know. I'm at a loss.
Kanika, even today I have a criminal case filed against one of my caregivers, one of my husband's caregivers, because he went to the extent of sending nasty messages on Messenger to my mother-in-law.
For
Because
saying what?
he actually, we had to ask him to leave because there was a lot of things that were happening which we didn't want to see in the house, and he used to follow my maid, and he'd put a camera in the room and all of that. And when that happened, we had to really ask him to leave, and in the cyber crime cell, I had to log a case. So there are definitely instances like that.
That's what you meant by female oriented,
Yes.
female dominated. So anybody who came as a caregiver, correct me if I'm wrong, a caregiver who came in, not all, not everybody,
Not
obviously.
everybody, yeah,
A
yeah.
few of them, male caregivers, were up to no good and used the situation to.
Absolutely. Thankfully, we had people like Rahul who would front end them. Now I don't even front end with any of them. He does it. So I think it took a bit of time. There was a lot of learning in the whole situation. We didn't know when we brought him to the house from the hospital. The hospital staff were managing him. They said, "Bhabhi, we will do it for you. We'll set up a hospital at home," because I had almost built a family in the hospital. 4 months,
Yeah.
right?
And tell us about it's a little digression, but I remember you telling me that Karwa Chauth and Diwali and Happy Birthday.
Oh yes,
in the hospital.
That was our way of fighting back.
This was during the 4 months. While
Yes,
he was-
absolutely.
Tell us about it.
So there were a lot of birthdays. My daughter's birthday, my husband's birthday. There was Karwa Chauth, there was Diwali, because October he went to the hospital.
That time.
And he came back in February, and we celebrated every single festival. This whole family the whole family that I spoke about, they were there at my place on every single festival. The bhaiyas got pataka, and we burst crackers on Diwali. I went to all the bhabis did Karwa Chauth with me, saying we'll do it with you. I went to the hospital and did Karwa Chauth puja in the ICU. We
That's amazing.
celebrated my daughter's birthday. Mr. Awasthy's birthday, we distributed laddus to the entire ICU staff, doctors, because everybody knew me very well by then.
These are all your ideas. The spurt.
I think one thing which we had consciously decided, and not just me, it's my mother-in-law, my kids, and my everybody, was we will live our life. We will not stop at this, and that's very important.
That's what
very
you
very
said
important.
also. That's what you said at the start
Yes.
of the thing also.
So I think in fact, when we had just brought him home, my son's birthday came, and we didn't want the kiddos to come home, so we did the birthday in Rachna's house. But we did that as well. Rachna said, "Mere ghar pe bula le sabko." So we did that because we didn't want to miss out any occasion to celebrate, irrespective of what was happening. See, what happened in the hospital never came back home, Kanika. I left it there. I was not sharing information at home with my parents-in-law, with my kids, with my sister-in-law in terms of what was happening. Yes, I had these friends with me who I used to share information. They knew everything what was happening. But even the day of cardiac arrest, I just told them it's a cardiac arrest, that's it. But the cardiac arrest meant a lot. In fact, when my brother went to the Hinduja hospital in Bombay and he showed the reports, and he said, 12 minutes cardiac arrest, hypoxic brain will not recover. This was the very first month. And I said, "Are you mad?" When he called me, I was like, I literally freaked out. I said, "How is it possible? I can't live without him." So that was a point when all those moments just stayed there. They stayed in the hospital. They did not come back home. And if they came back home, we wouldn't have been able to do what we were doing.
Savita, it takes maybe my perception, because obviously we work with our own perceptions. I can't fathom this. I just can't. Like, the love of your life, the person that you love the most, you had such a princess to the queen wala bit you just spoke about, must require some sort of very clear-cut focus on something, or so much love, or so much compassion and understanding that this stays here, I go home, and I'll deal, I'll not tell my kids, and I'll just continue. मेरा बस एक question है आपसे, and as a woman, did you not miss companionship? Who were you sharing your deepest? We are women, we understand each other. forget women, yeah, humans in general need that little thing, right, of companionship, especially from your partner, right? All inclusive. Who were you confiding with? I know you spoke about your friends, but वो फीलिंग आप इतने स्ट्रॉन्ग हो कि आप अकेले लेके चलते जा रहे हो?
नहीं, I'm not at all strong, Kanika.
नहीं, वो तो आप that please let us decide. Yeah, please hello. That you can let us decide. मतलब यहाँ पर Mr. Hulk is saying नहीं, I don't have any strength. Everybody, please, please. But it's something to look up to. It's very, very rare. It's uncommon. It's very uncommon.
You picked up that word, Kanika, where you said the love of something, and I think the love of Mr. Awasthy kept me going. I definitely missed somebody whom I could just talk to. I definitely missed, sometimes you just want to surrender your problem to somebody. Yeah?
Exactly.
You just want to let it out.
Exactly.
And you just want to rest your head on somebody's shoulder. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing beyond that.
How did you overcome that? That feeling?
It was I do talk to myself, and I think what really helped was the extended family that was there.
Okay.
The Rachna and her husband, Shweta and her husband. All of the extended family was the ones whom I could just talk to. The day of the accident, the day of the cardiac arrest, I remember, I came back home at around 11 and I told Rachna, let's go for a walk. And I just let my heart out. She was just listening to me, and we walked in the night at around 11:30 in the night. And whenever I wanted them, they were there. But एक चीज है which I kept to myself because I didn't want to let my thoughts out, because if I did that, it would create anxiety for me. And I was trying to suppress everything. As a mother, I wouldn't say I was guilty, but somewhere guilty as well, because I was thinking, what happens? How do the children perceive the situation? Yeah, they don't even. My younger one doesn't even remember his father. He was just 7. My daughter still remembers some things. How do these children come to that level? And that was when me and Awasthy had seen a lot of dreams for my kids, and somewhere unconsciously I was making that promise to myself that I will try and fulfill. I won't say I will fulfill. I will try and fulfill whatever we had seen together. Yeah, I don't know how much I'll succeed, Kanika, but I definitely want to do what we have seen together. Yeah.
That's just...
See, career-wise, you asked that question as well. Career, I was a very, very career-oriented person. Yeah, I was just promoted to a vice president 6 months before the accident. Yeah. Somewhere you can't have everything. You just can't have... I was going through a lot of mental turmoil, a lot of physical presence being needed at homes at times. You get a call saying, come home, he's not breathing, I run to the hospital.
Yeah.
So somewhere I took a conscious call that job is to get money right now and maintain livelihood.
You became a man and a woman, a father and a mother, everything.
I had to, I was forced into it.
You found that, see, I feel all of us have that strength. I think so. But very few have the power to harness it. I think you are a living example of somebody who will not give in, who will just harness all the power that there is in the world and use it to just not get affected at all. By at all I mean to whatever she wants to do in life, her goals, her visions, her responsibilities. She's not going to give them up, and for that, thank you, because it's an inspiration. It really is. It's amazing. I'm going to ask you a little uncomfortable question because while talking to you, I felt this could come in some people's heads. And please forgive me, but I need to ask this question, okay? Did the term, I know it is illegal in India, we know of a concept called euthanasia, right? We do euthanasia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just asking for the benefit. We know where you are. But I'm saying for anybody else in that situation in the world somewhere, what is your take on this? Your take. I know it's sensitive, but we just need to know a take from somebody who's experienced something. Now, I don't have the right to give gyan on this word. You do. You have the authority. So, whatever your take is, so that people can kind of take informed decisions.
I will just keep the legal thing out of the picture, Kanika. But you're not the first one telling me this. Multiple people have told me this. Multiple friends have told me this, saying, do you want to explore euthanasia? And believe me, my heart just breaks into pieces when I hear it. Yeah. I am no one to think about it. See, when I see him in that state and when I see him not being able to respond, I know he might be wanting to communicate something to me which he can't. When I look at his eyes, at times I feel that he's trying to say something, because there are very rare moments when he really looks at you. Otherwise, his eyes are just all over the place. And when you see that, you really feel that this is not what he deserved. This is not what we should have been in. But having said that, euthanasia, absolutely no. Absolutely.
It gives us.
I want to stand with him. I want to stand by him till the last moment, till my last moment or his
amazing.
last moment.
That's. Thank you for saying that, because one is to have an idea about things and one is to understand it. So today I got a little understanding of it.
And this term also comes in because people ask me, you're spending so much, Savita, because it costs me more than ₹1,00,000 rupees every month on just the medical bit. Yeah. So people do ask me, "Kab tak karegi?" But they don't understand. The money is just secondary.
Yeah. So just to clarify, I was not coming from the money or the liability bit, not at all. And honestly, again, repeating, please, to everybody here, that it was just not related to your family at all. But because it's related and because we're doing the voice of silence for people that I'm sure some people must be going through this. So it's good to know where we stand, especially from a person who's going through it and maybe has been told or suggested this. Okay, in no way, not once am I. Please.
No, people have come from that frame of mind as well. People have come back on the money bit. That's why. See, Kanika, a lot of people give up because of money.
Yes.
I remember when I went to the hospital, I was standing there to get his tube replaced. There were two ladies standing there, and my nursing staff was with me. She asked my nursing staff, saying, "How much do you charge?" And I was like, "Why are you inquiring?" And she said, "That person there that you see is my husband, and he worked in some factory. He had an accident. He was in the surgical ICU in a similar situation like my husband." And I can't believe it. Even today, I can't forget that lady because I don't know how she managed it. My nursing staff said I get 40K 10 years back. And she almost went numb. I don't know if that lady's husband still is there because I'm sure she wouldn't have been able to manage it. So people also consider because of financial issues. It is a big amount of money.
Which is a very big issue.
A situation like this, rehab takes a hell lot of money.
Yeah. I think we'll move along. It's very, very uncomfortable, this topic of the euthanasia bit. Alright, so that brings us to the wrap, but the most important bit. Having heard you, and considering that you are going to be heard by a lot of people who are in, well, nobody's in identical situations, but similar situations and can relate with you, what could be the intangible and the tangible? You can go with the tangible first, tangible messages, which you did tell me, which were solid ones, and the intangible ones that you want in the world to change or people to take note of through your story, through your message to the world. This is where we'll wrap up.
Yeah, so I think I'll talk from my own life experiences, and it's been a hard journey. It's been see, I'm a qualified accountant. I'm a chartered accountant, and Mr. Awasthy was managing all the finances. He's a chartered accountant as well. So I was like, do whatever you want. I'll earn, and we'll contribute equally. But when the accident happened, for a moment, I didn't even know what policies we have. We did not have a record of all the policies. I scrambled and picked up whatever I had, and today what I pay is only what I know. I don't even know if there were more policies that we had. Thankfully, all our properties and our bank accounts are joint.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what? In India, there is a law for somebody who's there and somebody who's not there. Either you're living or you're dead. There is no law for somebody who's there but not there. My situation is he's there but he's not there. Yeah. So how do you manage situations like this? I can tell you, getting my kids' passports have been a harrowing experience. I was rejected every time I went because they said you need your father's consent, and he wouldn't give a consent. So
What
I had to
about the doctors?
literally,
What about reports?
the doctor gives a report, but you know what? It's very difficult. I have a doctor's certificate, and the doctor renews it every year. But you know what? The understanding of the situation is very limited. I went to the court and I wanted a GPA so that I could sell off one of my properties because we needed money for the hospital expenditure and all of that. Everything was done all right, and then when Mr. Awasthy comes in, they said, "Oh, I'm not giving it for him. He can't give a consent." So that fellow just went home, and I literally, and imagine who were the people who were witnessing this. My mother-in-law and my uncle both had gone there as witnesses. I just dashed to DC office and I said, "Sir, this is my husband. I am so and so, and I want money for my husband's treatment. How do I manage if I can't sell my properties? I can't operate the bank accounts." And I salute to the DC who wrote on a piece of paper saying, "I take personal guarantee of Mrs. Awasthy, please give it." And then the person was called back home. I was given a GPA. So at least I had a doctor's certificate. I had a GPA with me to work on. But having said that, we maintained a Excel sheet where we have all the passwords. Yeah.
Okay, so that's something that can be done.
Yes, you need to have all the passwords shared with your spouse. You need to let your spouse, and it's not to do with your husband or wife. Even the wife needs to let the husband know, the husband needs to let the wife know.
That's called equality.
You need to know what assets you have, what amount you owe, and what amount you're supposed to receive. Because I struggled big time, and imagine with my qualification, if I'm struggling, I can imagine somebody who has not been there.
Yes.
Thankfully, I had the passwords. I went in, I withdrew money from Mr. Awasthy's account, moved into my account, and I could withdraw the money because we needed money. Otherwise, even today, I have an SBI account which is almost dormant because they refuse to do anything with it because they don't have an online access. If you don't have an online access, you really can't do anything because they say, "Unko leke aiye, wo consent dilaiye." Otherwise, we can't do anything. So, I'm telling you examples of situations where you really struggle with the law. Yeah. First thing first, I think share everything with your spouse. Please get a health checkup done every single year. We were not in our 40s then, we were in our 30s, and we didn't feel the importance of getting a health checkup done. But even today, when I think 90% chance that Mr. Awasthy had a rise in his BP, because 6 months before the accident, he had left his job and he had started off on his own venture. And there were stressful moments when you were starting up a business. So I am, today when I think about it, with my knowledge about medical, I think it was the BP that went up. And we had no clue because we didn't get a health checkup done. Post the accident, every year for me and my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law, we get a health checkup done.
So you're saying get your finances sorted between the husband and wife, get your health sorted, which means get a checkup done, know where you're at. What else? You said the law is something that you need to at least understand the legalities around things. Anything else? The tangible things.
Another thing, ensure you have a health insurance.
Health insurance.
I did not have one because he had just quit his job. We had corporate insurance, and before we could really take an insurance, this happened. While I had some bit of support from my office because we had a floating cover, and I got for 2 years because it was in 2 different years that he was there in the hospital from October to from February. But we struggled big time because we didn't have a medical cover. So that's something that I think everybody needs to have. You need to have a term insurance. You need to ensure that your life is covered for whatever amount, because if anybody lands up in a situation like ours, you really don't know the impact it will leave to the people who are there behind you.
Yeah.
And one thing which I think we should all do and which I have not done yet is create your will. Because
so no age limit, just
no age limit, create your will. I have thought about it multiple times, and I have a repository, but I need to create a will. It is important because you don't know what happens after you're gone. It's very important to have your will.
ये इंडिया में इशू है ना, इंडिया में बहुत.
I have heard multiple stories, Kanika, जहाँ पे parents चले गए, बच्चों के बीच में fights हो रही है.
No, I'm saying even the creation of will, somehow I've seen Indians
we don't do
being
it.
very iffy about it. क्या फर्क पड़ गया, मतलब nobody is suggesting that you're going to die.
Absolutely.
But point is have a will. Completely
Absolutely.
agreed on this one. The will bit is something that I mean even I'm considering, right now. And what about the intangibles?
So in fact, after the accident, a lot of my people whom I knew, they used to actually started sharing information with their wives and their husbands because they said, we've learned a lot from you. We don't want to be a situation where we don't know the password, we don't know which account is there, what balance is there in which account, all of that. So I think that's a big one.
That's a good change also that kind of came about with this. What about the intangibles?
Intangibles, I think one thing which I would say is never give up. Yeah, come what may, never give up, because life will knock you out lot many times, knock you down lot many times. Don't let life knock you out, because if you stand up back, at least you have 50% chance of survival and 50% chance of making it right. So that's one thing which I've learned from my life, Kanika. There have been accidents is just one episode. There have been multiple issues that we've gone through the last 10 years, but I think stand up with a smile, and that's what my entire family does, not just me. We, come what may, we just make sure that we don't give up on anything.
I saw that today. I'm vouching for it. I've seen that today with your family and your friends. They have smiles plastered. You can't make out that they're coming from this story. It's amazing. And any last...
And the last thing which I started off with was live your life to the full, guys. Create memories. We had a marriage of 13 years when we were there together. It's been 10 years now again. But those 13 years, we created so many good memories, and that's what keeps me growing. That's what keeps me going. I think we always, from childhood, we went in the rat race of studies and then career and then making money, and then we create money for a future, for saying that okay, retirement में हम ऐश करेंगे. Retirement तो आया ही नहीं हमारी life में. So enjoy life to every bit. Spend your days today. Create memories. Those memories will keep you going for long. Don't wait for your future. Don't wait for retirement. We don't know tomorrow क्या होगा. We don't know tomorrow you and me will be there or not. So I think today is what we are in, and today is what we live for.
Thank you so much, Savita. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.